So good afternoon, Vivekananda Bharti sir.
Good afternoon, ma'am.
I think we are having you for the first time. It's generally
Yes.
Manjusha Tailong ma'am who does the session with us from MNS.
Yes.
And
Yes.
also Seema madam sometimes joins. Manjusha madam is there also. So hello ma'am, how are you?
Yeah, hi, good evening, everyone. I'm good, ma'am. Thank you so much. So this time, my colleague Vivekanand Bharti is going to start with the presentation, and later on, I'll be taking up the queries.
Absolutely okay, absolutely okay. We welcome Manjusha, the Thailong Client Relationship Manager, Mr. Vivekananda Bharti from MNS Credit, and we look forward to a very interactive and informative session because they have just done the ECGC. So your session will be quite relating. They'll be relating to your session quite a lot. So that would be much more interesting, and that would be useful to them also. So I welcome Manjusha ma'am and Vivekananda Bharti sir, and I request them to start their session. Thank you.
So thank you, ma'am, for the beautiful introduction you have given about us. Meanwhile, let me share my screen. Okay, I hope the screen is visible to everybody.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. It is seen.
Yes, it is.
Thank you so much, ma'am. So yes, good evening, everyone. Before we could start the session, I hope you had a very good session with the ECGC. Mr. Nawaz sir have explained you all the steps very beautifully. So before we could start, I would like to mention a few questions that would often be running on your mind. Like what if my money gets stuck overseas, or if my customer is not responding me back after receiving the goods, or what about the payments that is going to be willfully defaulted by the buyer there? Will I be able to recover all these debts back? So this question would definitely ruin your peace of mind, when you when you send the shipment overseas for the very first time with the buyer, and it is definitely becoming a nightmare for many of the exporters here. So understanding all these concerns, for all your debt recovery concerns, we are the one-stop solution. So welcome to the today's session. I take the privilege of welcoming you all on behalf of MNS Credit Management. And today we would be walking you through to how to turn your bad debts into cash flow. So let's start off. So this is the agenda of the day's presentation you would be looking at. It is MNS at a glance. And then we would be telling you why that you will have to hire a collection agency, and what are the risks that would be associated with international trade. And in debt collection, why this amicable settlement is going to be very important for the exporters. And there are the other credit service managements that have been offered by us. So we'll just take you one by one. And here, so the debt collection, why do you have to hire a debt collection agency? Now, these days, market is completely full of risks and challenges. Everywhere you see in any field of market, especially in exports and imports, this risk is on a higher side, all right? So an on-site government of India is supporting a lot of exports in many promotional programs. So the exports has been on rising on the one hand, and on the other hand, how much ever the exports level has been rising, the same level, the debts are also been on rising. So for this, how do we bring down the debt of your concern of your company? So first picture, when you get into it, you would have exported to a company which is like somewhere around in the globe, where you might not be familiar with their local language, you might not be familiar with their locations. There are like various factors that would definitely disturb your recovery. So when you hire a collection agency like us, we have like local associates presenting on like over 170 plus countries. We have them round the clock working for us. So, this would definitely make your recovery easier and faster. And we do not involve into any other ways or manners of correcting your debts. It is purely based on professional mannerism. And for example, if any of your debt is for a longer duration, say for example, it has been for like 2-3 years or more than years, if it is keeping prolonging when you go on for years and years, and if you go apply on a court, when you go for suit of law in the court, and it takes a longer time for you to recover. And that is the reason why we are here to tell you there is something called as amicable solutions, which is highly on a positive side of recovery. And that is why we are here to give you a idea on what this is going to be. So the reasons for hiring a collection agency. So first of all, the local presence. So the local presence, imagine you are in India and your buyer or the debtor is going to be somewhere in thousands of miles. Say, for example, he is going to be in Indonesia, or if he is going to be somewhere in a South African country or in any American countries, it is totally it is not at all feasible for you people to go from here to India, put in a lot of money into it, and you start, like your expenses would go high, and it is totally not economical at all. In order to reduce all this down, it is highly advisable that you hire a collection agency like us, because like people like us, like agencies like us, we would be having a lot of associates who have been working around the globe, and we do have their local presence in every country and every continent, states, wherever it is going to be. So this way, what in turn it is going to happen is you will have the debt recovered faster and also easier. So in this way, you can have it on a better way. And next is going to be your geographical barriers. Geographical barriers is nothing but simple. See, when you are, for example, I'm telling you, if you are going to a country like Thailand or China, many of us may not be familiar with the Chinese verbal communications, exactly right. And it is totally difficult for you to identify the debtor's location. Yes. So unless and until when you are going to have a local associate and who is going to have the legal background of it. Why am I stressing legal background here is, imagine the local law barriers are going to be different from one country to another. Say, for example, if the local law governance of here is going to be completely different in India than compared to our neighboring country like Sri Lanka. Yes or no? So the same thing is going to happen. So when you're going to have a lot of, like a collection agency like us, when you're going to hire like people like, so we have a lot of associates who have been working around the globe, and they are definitely going to have a legal background also, and that is going to help you a lot. Then as I explained to you, the local law barriers, as I told you earlier, a lot of differences are there from countries to countries. And if you do not know, or we do not know the local law compliance, it is going to be very difficult for you to recover the debt back. And that is the reason why we insist you on hiring a debt collection agencies who have the depth of the local laws and legal proceedings. And when coming to time and money, usually debt collection process will definitely take time. It is not an overnight process. It doesn't take on a single night process. So imagine if you're coming and giving a case to us and you expect the case to happen in a week's time. Definitely no, it would definitely take time. Why? Because we will have to allocate the associates, and they will have to trace, identify the address, verify the address of the debtor. We'll try a lot of procedures, and I'll be explaining it to you while we just go beyond, and I'll explain you in detail. So it is always advisable that you hire a collection agency like us to, in order to we can bring down your product, your cost expenses. It is highly economical, and moreover, when you are going to assign a case to us, what happens, your staffs can concentrate on your core activities, which is in turn going to not to disturb your productivity. So we would be taking care of the entire process. Once you handle the case to us, right from A to Z, we will be taking care of all the process that is being required, and so that your staffs need not intervene into it or need not concentrate on your debt collections, so that they can concentrate and enjoy working for you, and your productivity is not going to be disturbed. Expert advice. Debt collection agency like us generally do have the in-depth knowledge in debt collections, and that is the reason why where we can suggest you, we can give you expert advice on how to proceed further. Say, like for example, if there is some negotiations that could be done, we would sit and analyze. We would tell you that yes, we can go for a negotiation, and if you feel don't like, then yeah, we will suggest you not to go for a negotiation, and then we'll be suggesting you like this amicable settlement and this negotiation talks are not going to work. Let's go legal. We have the possibilities of recovering your debt legally, so we would be suggesting you that process, and you can also recover your debt back. So what are the usual risks that are associated with international trade. I know many of you are into this trading business over a longer period. I may not explain you much, but still I'll just tell you what are these. This commercial risk is something, for example, the person may not pay you for any reason. All right. So for example, if he is going to purchase your goods, he's going to take in your goods and then he's going to abscond, he's going to go underground, he's not going to pay you for any reason. So in such conditions, you would be definitely feeling helpless. And when you assign the cases to a debt collection agency like us, we will have all the necessary steps be taken, and it is very sure that we can assist you in resolving all these issues, and it is very much possible that we can get your money back. The risk of fraud, it is always like a sensible way where an exporter will have to be thoughtful while taking, and more thoughtful and wise when he's going to take any decisions. For example, I would tell you, if there is one exporter who has been already been cheated by another buyer from one country, and you might not know much about him, and without knowing, you are going to do business again with him, and this is ultimately going to make you a big loss. So you'll have to be wide open. You'll have to look around for the whatever happening is around you in your same business entities, or like your colleagues, your friends. By this ways you can reduce the risks of fraud which is happening around. And the next is going to be your currency risk. Say for example, let me tell you one example. Say for countries like Sri Lanka, that is gone for another recession these say like months back. So what will happen if your goods are gone and stuck up there? So since because they do not have any dollar values right now with them, they do not have any foreign exchange available with them. So how will you return back? Your buyer might have the funds. Your buyer would have the funds with him, but is not able to remit into your account because there is no foreign exchange available. And how is this possible? Now, debt collection agencies like us, we have certain procedures where we can mount pressure, and on priority basis, we definitely can get back to your amount that has been to be recovered. And especially in countries like Nigeria, this type of situations, it happens often, and we were able to assist a lot of exporters in those conditions. And cyber risk fraud is one thing that is happening, very commonly these days, and what the exporters will have to be very much aware of. For example, a lot of fake email IDs have been forged. Then you'll be receiving any fake banking accounts where you're asked to swift the money onto that account, and there is a lot of things and the risks happening. And talking about our experience on these cases, we do have a recovery on such cases, but the complete recovery is totally out of the range as I speak, because it is very difficult to convince the other party, like stating like we have been giving documents, we'd be providing all the required documents, etc. But still it will be not valid, and they might not come for a negotiation. So recovery is not at all completely possible. It is possible, but to a certain extent. But we cannot assure you that the 100% recovery would be possible out there. And operating risk is simple. For example, um, if you're going to start a business, say for example, now you are into a trade business. I mean, you're into an export business for a longer period, and someone new who is going to come and approach you, and he is like, he is like, I want in a bulk quantity, I want in this bulk order. So you would be very happy, feeling very happy that okay, this guy is coming from this country, like I have got so much of orders. But do you have any idea on his credibility? So you might need a background check. So you should definitely have a background check on his credibility, whether if he is genuine, what would be his market reputation back there in this local country, and then how our payment trends are. Is the company actually legit? Companies in China, this cases, a lot of cases are happening in countries like China and other countries. There would be in the same address, there would be like 5 other companies that have been functioning. So it is always good that you have a complete background check that is going to happen on the person. And political risks, there would be countries where, due to political reasons, and you'll be having this trade restrictions being made, or there might be any civil wars that has been happening, for example, now recently in Ukraine. So in countries like these, it is always advisable for the exporters not to go on for a new trade, because collection is always delayed. The amount which would be recovered will be delayed. So this is the reason why you will have to have a look on this political risks path so that you can avoid in advance to these countries where you will be having such conditions. And now, how do we reduce the risks while doing international trade? You know, reducing the risk in international trade is completely in the hands of the exporters like you people. Unless and until when it is going to be on a negligence part or you would have missed it in a hurry, nothing would have been under risk. Okay, when you are into a hurry or you might have forgotten to do something or you might have got back without your knowledge, these are the conditions where you are putting yourself into a risk. So it is always good that you will have to be keen on these points. Certificate of origin is almost very important when you begin the trade. And if there is going to be any change in the terms and time, and when there is going to be any payment terms, please do mention in your agreements. That is very, very, very important. And if you are going to mention any penalties for delayed payments, for example, if the ADP, if there is in case of DS, if there is going to be any payment that is going to be delayed after 90 days, please mention that the so and so terms. If it is exceeding beyond 120 days, this much percent. If it is exceeding 150 days, this much percent. So this is how you will have to mention all your terms and conditions crisp and clear in your agreements, so that there is no one else is going to have a confusion with your buyer or yourself. And timely delivery is another key role playing part. You'll have to always ensure that your goods are being reached on the correct time. So that there is going to be no other confusions and commotions that is going to happen after, because there are certain buyers, who are very much concerned about this timely deliveries. They may not get, they may not take your goods back, and they'll just simply abandon and report, and the ultimate losses for you. So this is the very important part that you take care of. And you'll have to ensure the relation between the buyers and the consignee. That is actually very much important, that you'll have to take care of. And proper documentations. Why we stress the documentation part is because, say for example, you have all the documents with you, LC, whatever it is, you have the documentations completely in, everything is with you, clean and clear. Now this buyer has abandoned, whether this buyer has gone turned into a willful defaulter. So when you are going to when you're going to a DCA like us, or when you're going to file a case, all these documentations would definitely be a valid proof, and it will be helpful in recovering your debt back. And test reports, obviously, taking care of all of your reports, and in the case of in like inspection report, fumigation, or what's all the reports is going to be there. It is very mandatory that you take all these reports, have it with you. And when you are following all these points, in mind, and you're keeping these all things in your mind, it is always good that the risk would be coming down. And now the debt collections. So this is what I was talking about, the amicable technique. What is this amicable technique? So I'll give you an example. Now you have been doing an export business with a foreign buyer, say for example, like 15 years. And over a period of 15 years, you never had any dispute between you and the buyer. And all of a sudden, on some odd reasons, what exactly happened was like there might be some genuine reason where the buyer would not have remitted your part. There would be some reason where your the amount would not have got back to your account. So it doesn't mean that the buyer would be a defaulter. You might have to do a business again with him. Maybe there will be chances that you will have to do it again with him, or he may come back to you again. So in order to not to spoil the relationship between you people, this amicable technique or this amicable solution is always advisable. So what we do in the initial step of an amicable solutions. So we first take a credit check over the defaulting customer. We take the litigation search. If there is any other litigation, if there is any other cases or been pending on them, if there is, these are all going to be on their local places, whatever the country they are going to be. And we would also take a credit check. What exactly do we take in the credit check? Credit check, we take back of their payment trends. We check their payment trends. We check if there is any willful defaultations is there. Like how their payment, are they doing it on time? Are they not doing it on time? What are the factors? Everything we would be taking up. And then next, we would trace and verify the address of the debtor. So this means like certain conditions, and there are certain cases where the buyer would have given a particular address. He may not be there. So to a certain extent, our associates would go there and we would try verifying the address. We would try looking out for the persons and we would give us the back end as a report. And communication, like how do we do correspond? Like how do we but get in touch with them? No, we do have this verbal and written correspondence with the debtor. We continuously phone, maybe we call them, we send them emails. No, through a continuous process, we have our dedicated staffs working around the clock for this purpose. So they continuously send in, I mean, emails, reminders, to get them back, to get on the track. And if required, if when and required, with the consent of the exporter, we would also send them legal notice if it is going to be required, or demand notice if it is going to be required, etc. So our follow-up process begins like this. First, we try to start telecommunication. We to connect through them the phone calls, and then we send them the emails. And once after that, whenever if it is not responsive, when the buyer is not going to respond either of our phone calls, either of our telecommunications, we would arrange our associates to have a face-to-face meeting if it is going to be required. So on what principles do we follow this amicable technique? First of all, we'll try bringing the parties to a negotiation table. We'll establish the facts. What are the actual facts we try to establish? And then we try to identify what the problem is actually. And once when the problem is identified, we'll try clearing of the issues. We'll clarify, we'll clear all those issues, and then we'll try opening up for the settlements. And once when the settlements are opened, we'll carefully assess the buyer's motivation. See, for example, we'll just come to know on these steps, we'll come to know whether if this buyer has a motivation to pay, to repay back, or he's still, he's going to have this willful defaulting mind. So we'll have a clear assessment over the buyer's motivation. And then finally, if he's agreeing, and then we'll go on for a solution with the client and the debtor. And till this gets succeeded, we'll be following all this diligent monitoring of these, the solutions to be executed. Next, once when we have exhausted all of this amicable solutions, when we had enough and then we are exhausted, we come to a point where this buyer is not responding to our calls, in spite of having face-to-face meetings, in spite of having all the efforts we had made amicably. So it looks like he's not responding. So what do we do next? Next, we find there is the other option. The only option is going legally. So what do we do legally? Legally, we look for if this company is into liquidation or insolvency or bankruptcy, or if it is under reorganization, administration, rehabilitation. So we'll look into all these parameters and we would be giving you expert advices then and there. And if there is going to be any internal arbitrations that has to be made, and if at all the internal arbitration has been there, we cannot file the civil suits. We check that also. And if the internal arbitration is not there, we can definitely file the civil suits for you. And then the counter claims is one of the most important thing that is happening in the international trade these days. So what exactly happening? You might be very much aware of all these counter claims that has been happening. So it is always advisable for you people not to get into this counter claims, because once when it get back into the court, and it is definitely going to take a longer period of time for you to get back out of the case, and the debt recovery is highly impossible. And that is the reason why we debt collection agencies would insist you on to go on for this amicable solution. And the next, what are the issues? Generally there are certain issues that is going to affect the debt collections. Why is my recovery so delayed? I gave you the case like 6 months back, 7 months back, years back. I could not get back my money. Why is it getting delayed? So I'll just explain you on why the debts are actually getting delayed. When exporters like you come to a situation where you might have tried your own approach of recoveries. It would have taken 90 days, it would have taken 120 days, it would have taken months, 6 months, 7 months, 8 months. You would have been waited, trusting your buyer's verbal communications or written communications, but still the buyer would not respond back. So in these conditions, what exactly happens is, by the time when the case comes to us, when the exporter, like you people come and give the case to us, the buyer will obviously have undergone. He would have been fled to some other country. So this would definitely make highly impossible for us to get back the debts. And delayed consent, or what with the buyer would have given you some proposals, and you would have, exporters like you people would have not observed it properly, and later you would have given, say for example, the consent that the buyer would have given you like proposals who you would have given you like 6 or 7 months back, and you wouldn't have noticed, and all of a sudden you would have noticed, and I like you people come and say to us that the buyer has given us a consent, I mean a proposal, and can we go ahead now? Now that is going to affect your debt. No, he might not be ready in a situation to go in with you, because he might have been ready by the time he would have had funds with him, so that he would have given you this proposal. And right now he might not have this funds with him, and it is highly impossible for him, and it might not be possible for him to give away the funds. So it is always advised that then and there, whenever you receive a proposal, or whenever you feel that the debt is going to get delayed, or you find that it is going to be a willful defaulting case, it is always advised that you immediately come and approach to the insurers or to a DCA like us. And no consent on the litigation from the exporter. Say, for example, now we would tell you, or we have exhausted all of our, all of our amicable solutions, and it is not going to be possible for us anymore through amicable solutions. But it is possible legally. We have the confidence that we can win back this legally, and we can give you back the debt. But as usual, like the exporters might not be willing in paying the upfront fees, or court charges might be high, so the legal charges would be high. So on thinking upon this, the exporters would have a delayed consent, and this is also going to affect in terms of the debt collection. And another simple common thing that happens here is, you are not supposed to hide anything from a doctor and a lawyer. So same thing is going to happen here. Whenever you come to a DCA, you're not supposed to hide any information of the documents that you receive or you have. So that is very, very, very important. Unless and until we have the complete set of the documents, we might not know the depth of the case. So this is going to in turn affect the debt collections. And once when you assign agencies like us, and once when you hand over the cases to us, it is always advisable that you do not, as exporter, you do not interfere in communicating with the buyer, because we would be having a set of rules, and we would be having a set of schedules of following up, and once when you start talking with the buyer, and the buyer would start brainwashing you, and you would start like let me give the payment, you don't go with this DCAs, and there are chances that might turn upside down. So it is always advisable that you possibly avoid communicating with your buyers once after you engage us. So, and another important, very important thing that you will have to remember as exporters is noting and protesting. It is, in case of non-acceptance and payments or deferred bills, noting and protesting is a very important thing. And if the contract terms are not stringent, let me tell you this why, because if the contract terms are not stringent, importers just like that can abandon your goods, he can take away your goods, and he may not communicate back to you. So you will have to make the contracts as stringent. Only when your contracts are strict enough, the risks of debt recovery is going to reduce down. And always remember, advance or part payments or LCs, these are going to be the best, safest payment methods in this current circumstances. It is always advisable that whenever you give away any bill of documentation, bill of lading, or whatever it is going to be, it is always advisable that you channelize through a proper communication. For example, in the case of LCs, you will have to channelize through the banks. So your risk is going to be at a minimal side way, because the bank is into the action. So you will be onto the minimal side. If not, say I'm going on open account, I have got an agreement, I have a mutual understanding between my buyer and me. And what if the buyer is going to turn his back? No, what will happen? What if he's going to turn his back? Obviously you will be on a high risk. So it is always advised that either you get a advance payment or a part payment, or you go through the LC mode of payments. So that is going to be always advisable. And your fee on board is always advised, and your bill of lading should not be surrendered. It should not be surrendered unless the surety about your payments. Only when your payments is confirmed, you receive it to your part, and then only you will have to give away your bill of lading. So please keep this point in your mind. It's very much important. And keeping margins, you will have to always keep adequate margins when when you're about to supply. So it is going, why it is, because After checking the shipments of the transport agencies, there may be certain conditions where the other way around things can happen. So, obviously it is going to cause you a loss. So in order to escape this, reroute this, it is always advised that you keep a adequate margin on it. So here is a glance about our company. Our company is a premier international debt collection agency that we started in the year 1996. We are headquartered at Delhi. Nationally and internationally, as a respected credit company, management company, that we provide a full range of debt collection services and business information services to clients all around the world. And we operate from major cities like Mumbai, Kolkata, Chennai, Hyderabad, Ahmedabad, Cochin, Tirupur, Coimbatore, Vietnam, and we do have our direct operations in Vietnam, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, Myanmar, etc. And why we call ourselves as one of the reputed agencies, because we do have our in-house attorneys, we do have our chartered accountants, our own management graduates are working with us, and we do have our financial professionals who are working with us for over 2 decades with MNS, and who have got thorough knowledge and depth knowledge about the debt collections agencies. And yes, we are also associated with many credit insurers, transactional banks, financial institutions, multinational companies, and we do have international law firms, etc. And we do have our in-house law firm called as KNP Law Firms, which serves in domestic and as well as international. And you might have a question. So how are the collections made through your agency possible? Because I have my shipment done in China, I have my shipment done in Russia, I have my shipment done in the other country. In case, for example, let's take domestic. No, we have talked so much about the international market. So now take about domestic. Now I have given my shipment. My payment has been pending from in Kerala, and right now I'm in Delhi. I could not communicate in Malayalam. Right now my payment is stuck in Tamil Nadu. Right now I'm in Haryana. I do not understand Tamil. How do you people collect the agency? The answer is we do have multilingual language specialists, collection specialists who help with this. And we do have experienced credit analysts and other experts who will definitely take care of your collections. And let's come to the part where what are the different other credit management solutions that our company offers you. Majorly, we have credit management services. In credit, we have commercial debt management. We can offer you commercial debt managements, and we have first party collections of account receivables, and we can help you on company formations in India. And we do, as I told you, we do have our in-house law firm, KNP Law Firm, so we could definitely give you on legal advisory services. And when talking about business information report and services, remember I would have told you in the initial stage why this business information reports is important. Let me explain you why. As I told you, when you are going to start a new business with a company, and you will have to have a check on the credibility of the company which you are about to start. In this way, what exactly happens, be it domestic, be it international, it is definitely going to be helpful for you. Why? Because when you're going to put in a lot of your hard-earned money, and what imagine if it is going to stuck, because without knowing his credibility, without knowing his market background, anything, when you take information reports, business information reports from companies like ours, we provide you A to Z analysis of all the details of the company which you are about to start a business with. So right from their financials, right from their payment terms, right from their risks involved, legal litigations, if there is any other lawsuits being filed, or who are the board members, how many members are there working in their companies approximately, is their land or their commercial, if their building is going to be rented or owned. Every single data will be compiled into a report, and our reports will have a front page called as a report at a glance, which will help you to understand what exactly the entire report is in a single page. This report is actually very competitive, and any layman can understand by reading out this report. Why? Because we do have players in the market. There are other reputed markets, players are there, competitors are also there. But comparing, why do I compare with the others, and why I say our reports are the best is because of this. Anyone can understand the terms easily, actual facts can be understood. And the next, authentication and verification. We do this authentication and verification status for the e-commerce platforms. There are many e-commerce platforms. One might have created the domain, it might be run by another person, it might be owned by another person. So this kind of fraudulent cases can be avoided by doing this authentication and verification services from us. and the claim investigation reports that most of the credit insurers are using right now. We would be giving you a detailed investigation report on what exactly is the cause, what is the reason. Every single analytical details would be present in those type of reports. And this due diligence reports is also called as going to be comprehensive reports, where you can find the pictures of the local premises being attached, so that you could have a confidence in you. Okay, fine, this building is there, this party, this concern or the company is going to have their own building. We would mention whether if it is the own building or it is going to be a rented building, and like all the other essential details would be furnished on that, so that it would definitely give you a peace of mind when you obtain a report from us, as we will give you all the analytical details completely. A to Z information should be provided, so you can go ahead confidently, because our reports have been compiled by experts in financial backgrounds, and this is going to be very much helpful for you. And we are actually a part of the TCM Global Debt Collections Group, and they are one of the major debt collection group in the globe, and we are the shareholders of them. And this company is actually based in Iceland, and because of them, the associates are also working with us. And we, as I told you, we have like 170 plus associates working around the globe, around the clock with us. And as I told you, like this, many of you might have a have a picture in mind, like how does this amicable collection process works. Let me explain you. So when you get a new file, so when you get a case, when you are going to find that this person is going to be a debt, willful defaulter. So what you do is you are going to give this case to us. So we obtain the case, and what we do is we confirm at the receipt and enter into our automation system. And once it has been entered into our system, it is being, the address has been verified, and the present status is being verified, and it is being uploaded in a database through our associates, and we prepare a credit report. Why I told you earlier, what is the importance of this credit report is. So we prepare this credit report, and then we make regular calls, and we schedule a follow-up system. Rigorous and stringent schedule is being followed, and if the person is going to respond positively, yes, if is going to respond positively, we go ahead and get the proposal, and forward the proposal to you, and then if it is approved, we start giving the payment to the clients. And what if he's not going to accept? If he's not going to accept, we send them in-house demand notice, and if he's going to accept it, we get any proposals from the debtor. If he's going to accept the proposal, we negotiate. We try to pitch in for the maximum amount that we wanted to recover. And if it is getting approved, the exporters would be paid. And if not, then we would suggest to court case, which will be which would be of your consent on. So this is how the amicable collection process is going to function. Generally, we do have certain agreements with the clients. Debt collection agency like us, we do have certain client agreements. Let's just concentrate on a few broad terms here. So we would bring all your debts. We take in our best efforts to bring in your debts only in an ethical and legal manner. And we do not proceed anything legally without the client's written authorization. And MNS has its in-house legal suggestions, and the expected legal cost, everything, we would put in upfront to the customer or the client or the exporters, and only when the client is interested or only when the client is agreed, we would process ahead. And generally, when the payments are being collected, from the debtors, we channelize it only through the banks. So in favor of the client only, it doesn't that we do not collect it in our banks, we collect it through the client's accounts, and that is only possible through the banks. And in some countries, there are actually the trust account systems, you people might be knowing it, and also that is also applicable. And without obtaining the client's prior consent, we do not have any authority to bind the client to any particular course of action or compromising for a debt, because it's your money. We do not want to compromise your debts. So without your consents, we do not compromise for any of the debts that is going to be recovered. And we are actually entitled for the client that receives the payments from the debtor, either in full or part, or installments, whatever it is going to be. The main important thing is here is we work on a contingency fee basis, no collection, no fee. I'll repeat this again. We do not collect any fee until we recover any amount from the debtor. Till then, it is all going to be of a free of cost. So we are, I'm sorry, let me go back. Yes. So once, say for example, there would be certain situations where, the party, the debtor would agree in returning back the goods. He might say, I do not have funds with me, but I have the goods of yours, so you can take back the goods. And that goods, whichever is going to get returned, will also be considered as a recovery, and will be invoiced. And we, have the authorization to demand the principal sum along with the interest. So according to the cost that is prevailing right at that current country, according to their laws, just to put a pressure over the debtor. And as I told you, this is going to be a win-win situation for the clients. So no recovery, no fee, unless and until we collect any fees. There is going to be any recovery. It's not. There's going to be no fees, and it is going to be a one-stop solution for all the debt collection problems. Right from cross borders or different jurisdictional debt collection problems, everything, it definitely, come back to the flow with your policyholders. And we are efficient and effective in managing your debt collections by contacting the debtors in their own language. Imagine if someone was going to talk to you in your own mother tongue, and you know how comfortable it feels. So the same thing as in a soft approach, we do also follow that. We communicate with them in their own language, understand what the problem is, why is it getting delayed, if it is going to be genuine, or if it or not it's going to be genuine. We definitely identify those things, and we definitely put into the picture to you. So this is why we tell you we have, the debt collection agencies like us definitely have this multilingual talking collection agents who would help you in recovering all your debts backs. And the results, many of you might have a question like, how long is it going to take? And as I told you earlier, debt collection is definitely going to be a time-taking process. It doesn't happen overnight. You hand over the case to us and take it in the next day. No, so it does take time, but we have experienced associates on sites, who help us in recovery faster. So that is one of the USPs in current situations, and edge over the other credit DCAs like us. So we have experienced, associates who are very much familiar with all the legal backgrounds of every single countries. That in return is going to make the debt recovery much faster. Well, comparatively, I'm telling you, it's comparatively to the other DCA. No, I'm not telling it is the overnight process. It is comparatively faster than the other players. And will I be informed about the status every time after I hand over the case? Yes, you will be, because we would be giving you all the status of the reports, that what all the progress have we made so far in this case, like what are the steps that we have taken. We would be mentioning you then and there, so that we would be mailing you, we would be giving you a detailed mail where what are the steps we have taken so far. And we do have certain comprehensive location system tracking devices and systems that would help you and recover the debt much faster, as I told you earlier. And overdues, how this overdues are going to be recovered. Overdues could be, as I told you, it is either the amicable solutions is not going to be possible, and when we go legally, everything would be put in upfront with the exporters. We will be giving you a picture on what is going to be the cost of the legal quotation, what would be the court charge, what are the other charges that is going to be when we go legally. And why will never go legally the initial, we would 90%, the maximum efforts we would try for amicable solutions, because at the end of the day, amicable solution is going to be the only process through which you can recover your debts back. Because once when you are going to go through the court, it is going to be a time-taking process. It may take years for you to get back out of the case and recover your debt. And the amount of the debt what you're going to recover is going to be definitely a question mark. It is always advisable that you go through this amicable solutions. And as I told you, this business information reports, what exactly, I told you earlier, this is going to give you a detailed information, accurate information. To be exact, it is going to give you an accurate information that is going to give you lesser risk, and it will help you in taking the right decision towards when you start a new trading business. For example, I told you this is going to happen in the case of a China buyer is going to approach to you to buy a new product, and you're going to send them. So what exactly happens? You might not know what about his credit worthiness is going to be. So to erase off these questions before you start a new trading business, it is always advisable that you go in for this business information reports that we provide. So we do have a database of over 300 million companies in house, we both domestic as well as overseas. And because these reports, we've been having associates over like over 170 plus countries, so we have access to many important sites and other things. So it's quite easier for us to collect all the exact accurate details that the report needs. And the quality of the report is always determined by the experts, and we do have quality credit analysts, we do have experienced credit analysts who would definitely analyze, who would definitely go through your report records, A to Z financials, taxation return, every single detail would be analyzed by our credit analyst, and then the report is going to be compiled. And we also give you a clear picture on the subject company wherever they are going to be located. Say, for example, you come to know only they are going to be in, say, for example, in say for domestic cases, this he's going to be in from India. And in the case when he's going to be in India, do you know where he's exactly going to be located? So these sorts of questions would rise definitely inside your mind. And the same thing when it goes to overseas countries also. So to erase of this, we would give you the clear picture of where the subject company is located. So he's going to be located in China, or he's going to be located in Taiwan, be it wherever the part of the globe, any nook and corner of the globe is going to be located, we definitely be able to identify and give you a about the company. And a report at a glance, this is what I was talking to you in previous slide. The report at a glance is a part where you can understand and analyze and understand the entire report in a single page. This would definitely be helpful for any person. Say for example, I am not from a science, I'm not from a commerce background, I do not know any financial terms. Now mind, you're not, irrespective of any background you're going to be, this part, this report at a glance part is definitely going to help you out in understanding the entire structure of the subject company, because you will be having mentioned what is going to be, how much credit, whatever the amount you can be giving to them, or what is their risk rating. We would be giving you a rating. So there would be certain parameters on which this risk is going to be measured. So all these have been there, and this is definitely going to help you and minimize the risk. So this is why I repeatedly insist you on taking a business information report from us, so that you can minimize your risks. You can bring down completely, so that you can go ahead and doing a business peacefully. So you do not want to run this what if questions inside your mind. So you can completely rule out this what if questions from your mind, and you can peacefully go ahead with your business. And we are one of the world's leading industry associations. We are a part of TCM Group, FENCA, FCI, BIA, and FIO. We are going to be one of the major members of the leading industries associations. And these are going to be our credentials. Our head office is at Delhi, Jasola, and we are operations from Mumbai, Chennai, Bangalore, Hyderabad, Kolkata, Tripur, Coimbatore, Kochi. And we do have networks over 170 plus countries. So hope I have given you a detailed view about what we do, and I think that this is quite helpful for you. And I have my expert team with me, and if you have any queries and questions, I'm assisting you.
Thank you, Vivekananda sir. We will now take some questions. Dear participants, please raise your questions, maybe in the chat box or by the raise of hands. We have Madam Manjusha also along with us. Any doubts, any clarifications?
No question. Either they have understood or not understood anything or understood everything, which may not be possible. Okay.
Okay, ma'am, there's one question.
Query has come. Yes.
Yes.
Please, I urge all of you to come up with queries.
Okay, Manjusha ma'am, I'll read it out for you. In BL, if we not add to order in consignee, then what will be the problem?
I think, see, we will be able to assist only in debt recovery things. So, I'm sorry, I'll not be able to answer this question. So, maybe, or if I have not understood your question, if you can rephrase your question and
Yeah, maybe I will unmute Mr. Gopinath. Mr. Gopinath, please unmute yourself so that we can understand your question.
yes.
Mr. Gopinath?
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Actually, I want to ask that in bill of lading, the party is like when billing is done after, so party wants to add in consigning two orders, and if we have forgot to write two orders in that bill of lading, then what will be the problem? Like take any company like Aramco. So in context, if I simply write Aramco using
I think
Fujairah,
he's talking about
Sir.
documentation part, which will be taken tomorrow. Sir, I feel that it is not related to the debt recovery session, correct?
yes, ma'am.
Is it related to documentation?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, sir, please let me inform you that we have a documentation session tomorrow. We'll have an expert speaker and we'll take this session. Please keep this question with you. Take it tomorrow in the session. Okay, sir. Just because it's not relevant to the session we are talking about now.
Okay.
Ma'am, there is another question. There is what minimum amount can go to opt your services or minimum eligibility?
Yeah, so talking about the fee structure, it ranges between 20% to 25%, depending on the region for which we are assisting you for the debt recovery. And, there is no eligibility for minimum or maximum. And I mean, if your amount is stuck, we'll be very happy to help you out by recovering your debt. So any moment, anytime, any stage, you can contact us for debt recovery. And fee would range between 20% to 25%. Thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. Okay, I think Kumar Ravi sir has thanked you for your reply.
Any
more
other
doubts? Yes.
Any other query, Minu?
No, ma'am, I do not see any question in the chat box. Anybody would like to raise your hands? No, ma'am, no more questions.
Manjusha, ma'am, you want to add anything?
I think my colleague Vivek has already, taken session so well. I mean, he has explained all the process well. So yes, just would like to, say that, it is very important to approach to any debt recovery agency at a very, right and apt time, because at times we find it very difficult when we get a very old, debts to recover, because if we are into exports, and if your money is stuck outside, so outside any country, so it's very important to approach to any DCA at a very right time. The more time you'll spend keep on waiting your money to come back, it will be very difficult to recover the amount. So this is the main challenge we are facing nowadays, that people don't approach us at the right time. So we are there to help you out, and we do it in a very professional manner, because we have observed that people still have this notion in their mind that if we will involve any third party to recover any amount, my relation might get spoiled with the buyer, then I'll not be able to do further business with them. So no, I would just like to take this opportunity to clear that, we do take utmost care to, keep your relations intact with your buyer. While we are working on your debt, we do it in a very, very professional manner. We do not use any harsh mean, any illegal mean to recover your debt. We do it in a very professional manner, and we have our associates in 170 plus countries. So wherever your debt is, we'll be very glad to help you out with that. I think we have another.
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Please go on.
Yes, ma'am.
So there are two more queries, I think. Can you assist with debt recovery from exporters from India, as well as in regards of payment for freight forwarding services?
Definitely, we can assist you very well with the debt recovery from India, and regarding this freight forwarding services also. So we have a separate division for the domestic recoveries. So I guess you have our contact details and email IDs. I'll mention it in our chat box also. So you can forward your query to us, and we would request you for a few documents. After reviewing it, we can have a one-on-one discussion, and we can guide you the way forward.
Thank you, ma'am. Second question, another question, what is the correct time to approach a debt collector? 90 days after due or 120 days overdue?
So basically, this is the credit period. You have to decide like whatever the credit period you have extended to your buyer. By the time your credit limit gets over, you are communicating with the buyers. You will get an idea like whether they are really, showing a positive intentions towards the debt, or they are just giving you, lame excuses to avoid making payment. If you feel that, after the repeated assurances, maybe you can wait for a month's time or so. If you feel that they are not adhering to their commitments, it is always advisable to immediately, approach to a DCA. I hope I have answered your question.
And it's true that they approach. We have also received so many queries from the problems and issues from the exporters. They come quite late in the stage to give their non-payment problems. Maybe 2 years, 3 years have passed, and they come, and then it is difficult for us also to forward those cases to you or any other debt collection agency, because it becomes quite stale by that time.
So we have to understand one more thing. I mean, there is a limitation to a debt also. Like for giving you an example, like if we are talking about the debts in India, we have statute limitation only for 3 years. So if we are exceeding that limit, you will not even have a legal remedy to overcome that debt, to recover the debt. So likewise, every country has their own limitation. So if you'll keep on waiting for the buyer to themselves come up with a payment, so please be assured that it is under limitation. So if it will cross the limitation, it will be very difficult to recover the debt. Or after a certain period of time, if it is done with this deliberately, if they're not giving you the payment, then after a certain day they might even go underground. Then it becomes very, very difficult to even trace out the debtor. So that is why it is very important to approach a DCA, like to any DCA to recover the amount basically. So time is essence. So we have to really take care of the time. Like within time, you should approach a DCA. At earliest, you can approach us, and at earliest, we'll be able to recover the amount.
Again, I think you were not audible. So, Mr. I think what's his name? Mr. Gopinath has requested that if you can tell whether 90 days after due or 120 days overdue. If you can answer that.
Okay, so see, I mean, what I meant to say is that whatever the credit limit you have extended, hope I am audible now.
Mr. Gopinath, can you hear her?
You are audible.
Yeah.
Mr. Gopinath, can you hear?
Yes, he says yes.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay, so I mean, whatever credit limit you have extended to the buyer, please monitor or you can push them at your own till that time. After that, you can give them a deadline, maybe that within next 30 days, if you make the payment or so, you can monitor till that time. After giving the deadline, also if they are not turning up with the payments, then you immediately it is advisable to approach a DCA. And let's not wait for more time, because the more time you give, more the chances will become bleak to recover the amount. So it is always advisable to approach a DCA at earliest. I mean, the moment it crosses the deadline, it is advisable to approach a DCA for the debt recovery. And above all, like, we are working on contingency basis, like no recovery, no fee. So we are not going to charge you anything upfront till we recover any amount. So you are not at a loss. Hope I've answered your query, sir.
Okay, he said.
Okay.
So no more hands raised, right?
Yes, ma'am. No more questions.
So we wind up today's session. We thank Manjusha ma'am and Mr. Vivekananda sir for the PPT, and Manjusha ma'am for taking the question answers. We look forward to another session from you, and maybe we'll do a workshop on it separately. Thank you for joining us today. And tomorrow again, to the participants, I hope you are getting the recordings and the PPTs. 1 or 2 hands raised, I would know that yes, you are getting. Can you please raise your hands? Are you receiving the PPTs and recordings?
Okay, there are some raise of hands.
Okay, Cheshta Mangla has said, thank you, Cheshta. Okay, thank you so much. So whoever doesn't receive, please get back to us. Okay, thank you. Yeah, got it. Okay, thank you. And so tomorrow again we'll join you at 3 o'clock with a session on documentation. As you know, export documentation again is a very important part. And along with the documentation, there will be Incoterms, the commercial terms, international commercial terms, and how you have to use those international commercial terms in the process of export. That is also very important, because sometimes because of the confusion there, or maybe because of the dearth of giving the international, Incoterms, there is a lot of problem which arise from that export process. And last but not the least, we'll be also seeing, we'll be also knowing about the containerizations, the containers, the how the shippers, and the total process of logistics will be explained tomorrow. It's again a very important session. So I request all of you to join us by 3 o'clock tomorrow, and join us for that session. With this, I thank MNS Credit again for joining today, and I thank all of you for joining us today. Thank you so much. See you all tomorrow. Madam, tomorrow I have appointment with passport. What is that? Someone is writing something. No?
Yeah, but that's, I think, a personal.
Okay, fine. Kumar Ravi. Okay, fine. Ravi sir, no problem. Thank you. Thank you all.